What is up, everybody? JT Dangerously once again. I am back for my Week 10 NFL predictions. Now, Week 9 just ended tonight with the Detroit Lions defeating the Green Bay Packers on Monday Night Football. So our record, finishing up Week 9, was 7-6. So it's not too bad of a record. It is a winning record this week. Not as good as last week's 10 wins and the week before's 10 wins, but it is a winning record. There was just a few losses that were surprising, but again, we're on a 3-week winning streak since our last losing streak. So hopefully in this video, we will make it 4 weeks, hopefully. Now, before I begin, I do want to thank you guys so very much for watching all the videos up until this point, especially last week's NFL predictions. You guys blew it up as always, like you always have, with 618 views. You guys super kicked that like button 13 times, and you guys representing your team, your predictions with 23 comments. So I do want to thank you guys so very much for all the success in my Week 9 NFL predictions. Even though our record doesn't show it, you guys showed up and represented your team, represented your opinions and who you think was going to win, and your predictions. So I want to thank you guys so very much for that. And hopefully in this video you'll do the same by showing your love by watching the video, super kicking that like button, and showing your support in your picks and representing your teams in comments. Now, we are at 250 plus subscribers now on the channel, so I do want to thank you guys so very much for supporting the channel. To new subscribers, thank you guys for super kicking that subscribe button, and welcome to the Dangerous Lions. It's absolutely great to have you guys here, and to my longtime subscribers, thank you guys for sticking around, showing your love, and supporting the channel. Now, this is your first time watching my channel as a first-time viewer, and this is your first video. Welcome to the Dangerous Lions. I am JT Dangerously, and welcome to the club, because this club is whoop whoop. Again, thank you guys so very much. Other than that, let's get right into these Week 10 predictions. Now, starting off with the byes as always, we have 4 teams are on byes this week. Now, as I always start my video, I always want to remind you, if you have players on your fantasy football team that have byes, definitely have suitable replacements for those positions so you have a perfect Week 10 fantasy football matchup. Now, the byes are the Baltimore Ravens, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Oakland Raiders, and the red-hot Philadelphia Eagles. So if you have any players on any of those 4 teams that are on bye, definitely have a backup players for those positions, and you'll have and hopefully you will win your fantasy football matchup. Now let's start off on Thursday Night Football. We have an NFC West showdown featuring my second favorite team, the Seattle Seahawks, heading to Glendale to face the Arizona Cardinals. Now the Seattle Seahawks are coming off a very tough loss at home to the Washington Redskins on Sunday. They looked good early, but they just fell short. Russell Wilson had an okay game, not his best game. The running game was there with Eddie Lacy and Thomas Rawls. Dougie Baldwin had a late touchdown, but they just fell short. And there's one person to blame, and somebody made the list this week. Now, Blair Walsh, the Seattle Seahawks kicker. You know what happens when you literally, what you did screwed the Seahawks from winning that game against Washington. You know what happens when you miss 3 chip shot field goals and cost your team a huge win that could have got them stay in first place in the NFC West? You know what happens, Blair Walsh? You know what happens.
You just made the list.
He had to make the list after this. Blair Walsh is the worst kicker we ever got, because I will never understand why they got rid of Stephen Hauschka to get Blair Walsh, because Blair Walsh can't kick a field goal to save his life, and I wouldn't be surprised he left the locker room, ran to his car, and drove home before the Seattle crowd would have killed him. So they're definitely looking to get back on track after a tough loss at home. Then on the other side, you have the Arizona Cardinals. They're coming off a big win against a very bad winless 49ers team on the road. Drew Stanton didn't do too bad in Carson Palmer's absence with the broken arm. Adrian Peterson had a monster game on the ground with over 30-plus carries and over 100 yards. Looks like Arizona was his niche to get back on track after his lackluster year in New Orleans. Larry Fitzgerald had a great game, so they're looking to get a big upset here against a NFC West rival. So coming from me in this matchup on Thursday Night Football, man, this one's a really good one. This one's going to be good. I'm going to take the Seattle Seahawks to defeat the Arizona Cardinals. And now the Sunday slate, starting from 10 a.m. here on the West Coast, 1 p.m. on the East Coast. It is an NFC North battle featuring the Green Bay Packers heading to Soldier Field to face the Chicago Bears. Now, the Green Bay Packers are coming off a loss tonight on Monday Night Football to another NFC North rival, the Detroit Lions, Brett Hundley just did not have a great game. Again, he's no Aaron Rodgers, and their players are definitely struggling without A-Rod quarterbacking them. Again, Brett Hundley is a great quarterback. I watched him at UCLA, but you're comparing Brett Hundley to Aaron Rodgers. So definitely the Green Bay Packers are damn sure not going to win the NFC North for sure this year. Then on the other side of the Chicago Bears are coming off a bye last week, so they're going to be rested and healthy. Mitchell Trubisky's got another chance to prove that he is a deserving first round, the number 2 pick in the NFL draft. He's had a pretty solid year. Their defense have definitely helped them out. Zalik Cohen has had a great year in the running game. Jordan Howard has had a great game in the running game as well. So Mitchell Trubisky is looking to knock off a huge NFC North rival and get the Bears a big W. So coming from me in this NFC North rivalry battle, again, without Aaron Rodgers, I think this Packers team is just doomed to continue to lose. So coming from me, I'm taking Mitchell Trubisky and the Bears to defeat the Green Bay Packers. And now the next matchup is the winless Cleveland Browns heading to Ford Field to face the Detroit Lions. Now the Cleveland Browns are coming off a bye last week, so they're coming in rested. They're still winless. They still do not have Joe Thomas. We don't know if Deshaun Kaiser is going to be starting, but this team is looking for anything and something to get their first win of this year's NFL season. Then on the other side of the Detroit Lions are coming off a big win tonight over the Green Bay Packers on Monday Night Football. Matthew Stafford had a great game. Amir Abdul had a great game. Golden Tate had a great game. Their defense got it done. Ziggy Ozzie their defense just got it done against a very Rodgerless Green Bay Packers. So coming from me in this matchup, now do I see Cleveland winning their first game in this game? Nah, I just don't. So coming from me in this matchup, I'm taking the Detroit Lions to defeat the winless Browns. And now the next matchup, it is the Pittsburgh Steelers heading to Lucas Oil Stadium, to face the Indianapolis Colts. Now the Pittsburgh Steelers are coming off a bye last week, so they're going to be coming in rested. The 3 Bs are going to be up in full effect. The Big Ben, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, who is one of my favorite players' name, and he maybe has the best celebrations in the NFL right now. And they're looking to continue their dominance in the AFC North because really the AFC North is now a one team to beat. Pittsburgh is really the one team that will win the North this year in the AFC. Then on the other side, you have the Indianapolis Colts who got a big win over their AFC South rivals, this Houston Texans. They looked good, and they also shut down Andrew Luck for the season, so he won't be back this season like I thought they would do, and they actually did it. So they're going to stick with Jacoby Brissett this whole season. So this will be a good test for Jacoby Brissett to see if he is a long-time starter for the Colts until Andrew Luck comes back with his shoulder injury. T.Y. Hilton had a great game, and their defense definitely got it done against a Watson-less Houston Texans team. So coming from me in this matchup, oh man, this one's really, really tough. I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers to defeat the Indianapolis Colts. And now the next matchup, it is the Los Angeles Chargers heading to Florida to face the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now the Los Angeles Chargers are also coming off a bye last week, so they're going to be coming in rested. Phillip Rivers could have a big-time game. Melvin Gordon could have another big-time game. Defense, Hunter Henry, their very, very talented tight end, Antonio Gates may have a great game. So they're looking to continue to get back on track in the AFC West. Then on the other side, you have the Jacksonville Jaguars are coming off a huge win over the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday. They looked good. Blake Bortles had a pretty solid game. Marquise Lee had a great game. Leonard Fournette did not play because he got caught for some violation of team rules, so he did not play. So hopefully Fournette will play this week. And also Jalen Ramsey, their cornerback, got ejected from that game against Cincinnati. So Jalen Ramsey, he had to make the list. He surprisingly, he started the whole thing with A.J. Green, and I'll get to A.J. Green in this video as well. But it was just ugly between these two in this game. Jalen Ramsey just completely shut down A.J. Green, but he also instigated the big fight, which I'll be talking about when it comes to Cincinnati. So coming from me in this matchup, man, this one's going to be very good. This is going to be a really good game because Jacksonville is really the biggest surprise in the AFC South, and they can give a lot of those teams like Houston and Indy and Tennessee a run for their money this year. So coming from me, I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars to defeat the Los Angeles Chargers. And now the next matchup, it is the New Orleans Saints heading to Orchard Park to face the Buffalo Bills. Now the New Orleans Saints are coming off another big-time win against their NFC South rival, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're putting up a 30-burger on them. Drew Brees had a great game. Kamara's having one hell of a year this year for the running game for the Saints. He could be Rookie of the Year when it comes to the running backs. Mark Ingram had another big-time touchdown. Drew Brees just shredded this Tampa Bay defense. And their defense and New Orleans' defense is just stuff it to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they're not even maybe. They are the hottest team right now in the NFC South, and I really think they will win the South this year because Atlanta's terrible, Carolina's somewhat okay, and the Buccaneers have just gone completely backwards after last season. So this team, it could be very dangerous when it comes to the NFC playoffs. So then on the other side, the Buffalo Bills are coming off a very tough loss, an embarrassing loss to the New York Jets on Thursday Night Football. They did not look good, but they also picked up a huge acquisition in the trade deadline. They traded for Kelvin Benjamin, the former Carolina Panthers. So Tyrod Taylor now has Shady McCoy, Jordan Matthews, and now Kelvin Benjamin, who did not play in that game, which was very surprising. It definitely hurt some fantasy owners who have Kelvin Benjamin. Case in point, me. So hopefully Kelvin Benjamin will be ready to play in his Bills debut at home, and definitely help the Bills here to be a little bit of a test to my Patriots in the AFC East, but I think you already know how that's going to end. So coming from me in this matchup, I'm going to go with Drew Brees and the red-hot New Orleans Saints to defeat the Buffalo Bills. And now the next matchup is the New York Jets heading to Tampa to face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now the New York Jets are coming off a big win on Thursday Night Football over the Minnesota Vikings, not the Minnesota Vikings, the Buffalo Bills on Thursday, excuse me. Josh McCown had a great game. Matt Forte had 2 touchdowns. Their defense definitely stifled Tyrod Taylor and the Buffalo Bills. And it's to say the least, the New York Jets are a lot better team than the New York Giants. That is for sure. Then on the other side, you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are coming off another embarrassing loss to an NFC South rival in New Orleans. It just did not look good. Jameis Winston did get hurt in that game with a shoulder injury, so they had to go with Ryan Fitzpatrick. But the one thing it was just shocking to me that Jameis Winston was instigating something with the Saints cornerback Lattimore. He was like poking him in the helmet, instigating something, and then Mike Evans comes out with a cheap shot. I'm just going to say this about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Jameis Winston. Grow the fuck up, because that was just childish. If you're on the sideline, aren't you supposed to be hurt? You hurt your shoulder, you're a questionable return, and you start instigating something with their cornerback Lattimore. Like, come on. Come on, Winston. You got a little bit more sense than that to do something so childish and petty. So, coming from me, Tampa Bay needs to definitely grow up. They need help. They are just struggling. They have went from 9-7 team to like a 2-win team this season. They have gone completely off the rails. So, coming from me in this matchup, I'm gonna go with Josh McCown and the Jets to defeat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And now the next matchup, it is the Minnesota Vikings heading to Landover to face the Washington Redskins. Now the Minnesota Vikings are coming off a bye last week, so they're going to be rested. Case Keenum hopefully will have a big-time game. Their defense, Anthony Bard, Everson Griffin's going to have a monster game, and they're looking to feast on this very depleted Washington Redskins offense. Now, on the other side, you have the Washington Redskins, who are coming off a big 3-point win on the road against the Seattle Seahawks. They had to come back and win that game because Seattle scored late, and then they came back and won the game. Kirk Cousins had a pretty solid game in a win. Terrell Pryor Sr. had a pretty good game. Dotson had a great game receiving as well. So Washington is looking to be a little bit of a contender in the NFC East, but it's going to be the Cowboys and Eagles coming from me. So coming from me in this matchup, man, this one's tough. I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings to defeat the Washington Redskins. And now the next matchup, it is the Dallas Cowboys heading to the Georgia Dome to place the Dirty Birds, the Atlanta Falcons. Now the Dallas Cowboys are coming off a huge win at home against Kansas City. They look good. Zeke the Freak did play in this game. Dak Prescott had a great game, and they're looking to continue their role against in the NFC East and looking to knock off the best team in the NFC right now, the Philadelphia Eagles. So. And the biggest question coming into this week, will Zeke be able to play? Because he's been dealing with this whole suspension and he's finding ways to get out of it. He's what I call the master of loopholes because he's always finding a way to get to play every week. Then on the other side, the Atlanta Falcons are coming off another embarrassing loss to the Carolina Panthers. I can just tell you right now, the Atlanta Falcons are not getting back to the Super Bowl this year. That's for damn sure. They just do not look good at all. They are not cooking on all cylinders. So coming from me in this matchup, I am taking the Dallas Cowboys to defeat the Atlanta Falcons. And now the next matchup, it is the Cincinnati Bengals heading to Nashville to face the Tennessee Titans. Now the Cincinnati Bengals are coming off a very embarrassing loss to a very good Jacksonville Jaguars team. Andy Dalton just did not have his great game. Joe Mixon did have a touchdown. AJ Green just did not look good. And now I got to talk about it. If you did not see that play with Jalen Ramsey pushing AJ Green, and then AJ Green put him in a chokehold and punched him. AJ Green, he had to make the list. I mean, you have to keep a level head. I know you're not having your best season in Cincinnati. Well, whose fault is that? They're just not a good team. You could be playing for a lot of great AFC or NFC teams where you're playing for the Cincinnati Bengals, who, of course, are not winning the North 1. Marvin Lewis is going to get fired too, and Andy Dalton is so hard to trust every week. It's hard to pick with them. So AJ Green, you have to make the list for losing your cool and being a stupid idiot by choking the guy, putting him in a chokehold and punching him. I mean, you got to grow up, AJ. You just cannot be doing that stuff. He lost his cool for sure. Then on the other side, you have the Tennessee Titans are coming off a big win against the Baltimore Ravens. Again, this Tennessee Titans team is coming off that bye. Marcus Mariota had a great game. Eric Decker had a big-time touchdown, the former Denver Bronco, New York Jet. So they're definitely clicking, Mariota and Decker. So coming from me in this matchup, I'm going to take the Tennessee Titans to continue the slump of the Cincinnati Bengals. And now the next matchup is the Houston Texans heading to the Coliseum to face the red-hot Los Angeles Rams. Now the Houston Texans are coming off a very tough loss against the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday. They just did not look good because if you did not hear of last week, Deshaun Watson tore his ACL in practice. Their red-hot starter, who I was predicting to win Rookie of the Year, tore his ACL. So he is done for the season. And when I heard that, my heart sank because this kid was having one hell of a season in Houston, and his season just ends on a practice play and tears his ACL. So they're going with Tom Savage, and when you watch that game, you can see this team is not the same team without Deshaun Watson because it hurts players like DeAndre Hopkins, who was getting passes from Deshaun Watson, and Will Fuller V, who is also getting passes from Deshaun Watson. Without him there, getting the ball, throwing the ball, this Houston team is a very different team. And Houston is coming off a great Game 7 victory over the Los Angeles Dodgers to win their first World Series. So they went from being on cloud 9 for winning their first World Series to now being nearly at rock bottom with Deshaun Watson being hurt. Then on the other side, you have the Los Angeles Rams who are coming off a blowout win. And I repeat, a blowout win over the lowly New York Giants. Jared Goff had his best game, I think over 5 touchdowns. Robert Woods had a 2-touchdown game. Sammy Watkins had a 2-touchdown game. Cooper Kupp had a pretty solid game. And Todd Gurley III had a pretty solid game. Their defense looked amazing. So coming from me in this matchup, again, without Deshaun Watson at Houston, this team is done in the South. So I'm going to be taking the red-hot Los Angeles Rams to defeat the Houston Texans. And now the next matchup featuring two of the worst teams in the NFC. It is the New York Giants heading to Santa Clara to face the winless San Francisco 49ers. Now the New York Giants are coming off a blowout loss. They gave up 51 points to the Los Angeles Rams. and the New York Giants fans are now looking at this season as a complete bust. I was seeing a few fans with paper bags on their heads, so they know this has not been their season this year. Eli Manning just could not win this game by himself. I mean, he needed help, and there's no help there. And they're just not looking good, and they're going to be looking for draft picks in next year's NFL draft. Then on the other side, you have the winless Niners. They're coming off another loss. They're 0-9. They're just not looking good this season, but they did pick up a pretty surprising pick in the trade deadline. Now, if you have not heard, the 49ers have gotten our New England Patriots backup quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo, for some draft picks. Now, there was an interesting story about this that John Lynch called Bill Belichick and said, "What would you want for Jimmy Garoppolo?" And Bill Belichick said, "No, he's not on the table." And he said, "Well, what if I want Tom Brady?" And Bill Belichick said, Are you kidding me? Why would I trade my franchise quarterback to the 49ers?" And it said, "Is that a no?" It's like John Lynch pretty ballsy to even ask for a trade for Tom Brady, but the Patriots gave him Jimmy Garoppolo, so hopefully in this game we will see Jimmy Garoppolo. CJ Beathard has done his job, but now I think the Niners are going to go with Jimmy Garoppolo, and hopefully they will, because Jimmy Garoppolo, again, I only watched them in one or two games when Tom Brady was hurt with, who was suspended for the 4 games. He looked good until he got injured. So, 49ers have their quarterback. I thought they were going to wait to get Kirk Cousins, but they went with Jimmy Garoppolo. So, coming from me in this matchup, you know what? I'm gonna go for this because I like Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, I've only seen him a few times play in New England, but I'm gonna go with the San Francisco 49ers to get their first win of the season, because I think the Giants are an even worse team than the San Francisco 49ers. So I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers to get their first win of the season and defeat the New York Giants. And now the Sunday night matchup. It is my New England Patriots heading to Mile High to face the Denver Broncos. Now the New England Patriots are coming off a bye last week, so they're going to be coming in healthy. Tom's going to be healthy. Hopefully Chris Hogan will be playing. He was hurt in that game against the Chargers in Week 8. Hopefully he'll be back. Gronkowski's going to be on fire. Hopefully the defense will get more healthy. Gillespie's going to be hopefully healthy, and they're looking to continue their winning ways in the AFC East. Then on the other side, you have the Denver Broncos. They're coming off an embarrassing loss on the road against the Philadelphia Eagles, giving up, I think, 40-plus points. And they went with Brock Osweiler. Why is he back in the NFL? He's a garbage quarterback. He had 1 touchdown and 2 picks. What else is new when it comes to Brock Osweiler? And I've heard Vance Joseph saying that they may go with Paxton Lynch over Brock Osweiler, which would be better than seeing Brock Osweiler on the field because he can sit his ass down. So coming from me in this AFC showdown, I'm going to go with my New England Patriots. I just think Tom Brady's going to just shred this Denver defense. Again, this is the no-fly zone at Mile High, but it's Tom Brady. You know he's going to be throwing that ball, and he's going to be getting those big-time touchdowns. So coming from me in this matchup, I am taking the New England Patriots to defeat the Denver Broncos on Sunday Night Football. And now the Monday night matchup that goes against the last Monday Night Raw before the 31st Annual Survivor Series. It is the Miami Dolphins heading to Charlotte to face the Carolina Panthers. Now the Miami Dolphins are coming off a very tough loss on the road against the Oakland Raiders on Sunday Night Football. They looked good. They also put that bum Cutler back in the game, back in the quarterback position. So you already knew they were going to lose that game because Jay Cutler's the bum. He should have stayed on the bench and stuck with Matt Moore. They also traded Jay Ajayi to the Philadelphia Eagles for some draft picks. And coming from me, I don't understand that because, yes, Damian Williams is a great one. Kenyon Drake is a great running back, but Jay Ajayi was their starting running back, and you trade him to a talented Philadelphia Eagles team, and now what do you have? You have Jay Cutler quarterbacking. It made no sense to me as a fan because I like Jay Ajayi. I watched him at Boise State. He's a great running back. To have them trade him makes no sense. Then on the other side, the Carolina Panthers are coming off a big win over the Atlanta Falcons. They look good. This is a team without Kelvin Benjamin because they traded him to the Buffalo Bills. So, I mean, this team looked good. Cam Newton did most of the work in that game with his feet. As usual, being from Auburn, that's what he did. And Auburn's looking to knock off Georgia on Saturday. So, anything can happen. And anything can happen with Auburn and with Cam Newton because he knows how to get it done. So, coming from me in this matchup on Monday Night Football, I'm taking the Carolina Panthers to defeat the Miami Dolphins. And those are my Week 10 NFL predictions. I hope you guys did enjoy these predictions. Comment below. Who do you have winning all of these matchups this week? As always, represent your team in the comment section below. And as always, comment your predictions if you want. Let's, by all means, do that. Let's have a conversation about it. Of course, I'm always on to see your comment, like it, and of course, reply right back to you. Comments are absolutely always welcome on this channel. Now, I do want to thank you guys for watching this NFL predictions this evening. Now, before you go, you can never forget to do this. That like button, comment, share it with your friends. Of course, super kick that like button like only you guys can. Of course, you can never forget to do this as well. That subscribe button, become part of this bigger and dangerous Lions. And I will see you guys next week for 3 videos Monday, 2 videos Tuesday. Later days and peace.